Did you know that you're not fully in control of what you eat? Not really, anyway. Microorganisms in your gut are creepy, right? So, if you find that you're constantly craving sweet stuff and takeaway foods and you just can't seem to stop, like that's all you ever think about, it's probably because the microorganisms in your gut really like those foods. But all is not lost. So there is a way that you can get more microorganisms in your gut that actually like healthy food, meaning you will want more healthy food and then you will eat healthier. So watch this video and I'll give you a few tips to see how you can train your microorganisms to not crave sugar anymore. Hi, my name is Sorcha. I'm a nutritionist and healthy lifestyle blogger from Ireland, and on this channel I help make healthy living simple because it doesn't have to be complicated. If you'd like more personalised nutrition advice, be sure to click on the link below in the description because that will get you a free 45-minute nutrition consultation with me where we can discuss your health goals and see what we can do to make you healthier and happier. Microorganisms are everywhere. There is more microorganisms in and on the human body than there are human cells. And there's over 100 trillion, which is 14 times the amount of humans on Earth. So it's a lot. And they're everywhere. They're not just on us, they're everywhere in the environment, so you can't really get away from them. When you think of microorganisms, it would be like bacteria, viruses, those kind of things that when you think about them, you think bad. Now, there are bad bacteria and viruses, and they're called pathogens, and they make us sick. So we don't want them. But there are also good bacteria, and, well, there aren't really good viruses, I don't think, but there's good bacteria, and they are found in our gut. And we need them and they need us. That is called a symbiotic relationship. So they live in us and they get shelter, they get food, they're happy. And in return, they do jobs for us as well. So they help with digestion and absorption of nutrients from our food. They also make some nutrients. So bacteria in our gut makes vitamin K, which is really important for blood clotting, so you don't bleed out when you cut yourself or something. And also they play a role in our immune system. So that is the thing that we have, that our defense mechanism against pathogens. So having good diverse gut bacteria is really important to overall health, and scientists are discovering that our gut is actually like our second brain. So if you have a healthy gut, you are more likely to not suffer from things like depression, IBS, obviously, if you have a healthy gut. And, well, you're more likely to have a stronger immune system. So making sure that you have a lot of diverse gut bacteria, good gut bacteria, is kind of the first major step to overall health. So we're going to talk about how to get a healthy gut in this video. Also, we're going to talk a bit about food cravings and how our gut bacteria actually influences our food cravings and our food preferences. So, like I said, our gut and our whole body is full of microorganisms, but we're going to focus on our gut. So, it's not just one type of microorganism in our gut, there's loads. And each one has a different function. It likes different foods. Some like fibrous foods and others like sugary foods. Now we're going to talk about the ones that like sugary foods or sweet foods, grammar. So if you are somebody who has a really sweet tooth and you always crave sweet stuff and you just don't know why, you just can't seem to stop, it probably is because you have a lot of gut bacteria that like that type of food. Now, what happens when you feed something? It gets bigger. It reproduces. And you don't really want that, because the more gut bacteria you have that like sugar, the more you are going to crave sugar, and the more sugar you are going to eat, and then the more gut bacteria that like sugar you're going to get, and it's just going to turn into a vicious cycle, and you're always going to crave sugar. So the first step is obviously to cut back on sugar, because if you cut back on sugar, you are not feeding them gut bacteria as much, and then the other bacteria will have a chance to grow and reproduce. So we're going to talk about a few simple things you can do to cut back on sugar slowly, because sometimes cold turkey just doesn't work for people. Maybe it does for you, but a lot of people it doesn't. And sometimes, in my opinion, I think the slower you go, the more effective it is. So we're going to talk about a few ways you can cut back on sugar. One really simple way to cut back on sugar is not putting sugar in your tea anymore. If you're somebody who takes 1 to 3 teaspoons of sugar, cutting back slowly, even by half a teaspoon at a time, really works. So say, for example, you take 2 teaspoons of sugar in your tea. Cut back by half a teaspoon. So you're taking 1.5 teaspoons for about 2 weeks. You won't notice the difference. You won't notice the difference. If it makes it any better, get somebody else to make your tea for you so that you don't put the sugar in, because it's a psychological thing. And then cut back by another half a teaspoon. So you're down to 1 teaspoon, and then another half. And think about how small half a teaspoon is. Do you really think you're going to notice if it's not in your tea? Probably not. So doing that, especially if you drink a lot of tea or coffee, will cut back on your sugar. So that's a really simple way to do that. Another thing is fizzy drinks, soft drinks, full of sugar, and energy drinks, full of sugar. Really, the best drink you could drink is water, but obviously some people don't really like the taste of water, so adding a little bit of fruit juice or something like that if you need to is fine. Water's better, but honestly, cutting back on the fizzy drinks will cut back on your sugar intake by so much. I don't recommend drinking diet drinks either. They're not great for you. But if you are trying to cut back on sugar, go for the diet drinks. But they're not great for your gut bacteria either. So I would recommend switching to water, or even flavoured water. You can get sparkling flavoured water. Try that. So that will cut back on your sugar intake by so much. Now for your snacks. Snacks aren't bad. I just want to put that out there. A lot of people say, oh, if you want to lose weight, just cut back on snacks or cut out snacks. You can have healthy snacks. Unfortunately, most people, when they pick snacks, they pick things like biscuits, cakes, crisps, bars. They're okay for treats, but not as snacks every day kind of thing. If you swap them out for, say, I don't know, even swapping out a cake for a scone, there is less sugar in a scone. So, and then things like pistachio nuts, you can get salted ones now if you're cutting back on your salt, maybe the plain ones. But things like nuts, fruit, raw veg with dips is great too. So try to swap out your snacks. Look at the snacks that you eat and think, how can I make them better? How can I change them in a way that I'm not completely cutting out everything I like? So if you maybe have a chocolate bar every day, is there a way you can maybe swap it to dark chocolate? Because you will physically not be able to eat as much dark chocolate as milk chocolate. There is still sugar in dark chocolate, don't get me wrong, but if you're eating less of it, you're eating less sugar. So it's just about thinking about things like that. Also, fruit does have sugar in it, yes, but it's natural sugar. And it has so many other vitamins and minerals in it as well that swapping out a cake for a piece of fruit will still give you, like, satisfy your sweet tooth, but it is much better, and it has your fibre, which will feed all your good gut bacteria. So that's a bonus as well. Now I want to talk about carbohydrates. So carbohydrates are your breads, your pasta, your rice, those like starchy foods. Try to go for whole grain. So white bread, swap to whole grain bread. You can get 50-50 versions if you really want to kind of go slowly with the whole fibre intake thing. And then obviously your brown pasta, your brown rice. I do know that brown rice is hard to eat. It's a different texture than white rice. So I find that if you do want to go like swap to whole grain rice, sometimes going half and half. So maybe having half white and half brown and mixing it together, something like that. And then slowly, gradually go to full whole grain rice. So your carbohydrates are super important. The carbohydrates are needed for energy, so you need them. Don't cut them out, but be smarter about them. Try to go for whole grain when you can. Seeded tortilla wraps, things like that, Rivita crackers, things that have loads of fibre in them will still give you your carbohydrate, will also give you your fibre, which will feed your good gut bacteria. Be aware that not all foods that are marketed as healthy are low in sugar. Things that are low fat, especially yogurts, are normally full of sugar because that's the only way they're going to get them to taste nice. Which is why I always say don't always think that diet foods are better for you, because not all the time. Especially things like cereal bars, they aren't always what they seem. They are normally full of sugar, and yeah, they have other things in them too. Like they'll have protein and fibre and stuff. I'm not saying they're bad, but just if you are trying to cut back on your sugar and you're swapping your dairy milk chocolate bar for I don't know, any kind of cereal bar really, thinking that you're cutting back on sugar, you probably aren't. In fact, you're probably eating more sugar with the cereal bar. There are loads of really easy recipes on the internet to make your own cereal bars that you can make them in advance. You can make a big plate of them, and I think you probably freeze them as well, and they'll be much lower in sugar, and they won't have preservatives and stuff in them either. So if you do like your cereal bars, you can maybe do that. But it's just being aware that not all those foods are low in sugar. If you're a big dessert fan, like dessert is your favourite part of the meal, then yeah, still have your dessert. Don't cut out your dessert, especially if you're going out for a family meal, like go for it. But if you have dessert at home, maybe try and opt for less sweet versions or healthier versions. I did do a video recently on healthy desserts that are basically they're just fruit, and I swear they like the sorbet tastes like ice cream. It doesn't have anything in it but like a frozen mango, one of them, and strawberries, and I think there's a bit of honey in that, but they're a lot better than what would normally be a sorbet, which would be sugar, really. So also like chocolate desserts and that kind of thing, still have them, but maybe keep an eye on your portion size. Like don't eat a full cake, eat one slice, that kind of thing. And it's still fine to have your dessert. Don't cut out on things that you really, really love. Making little small changes will eventually kind of train your gut bacteria or get rid of a lot of the gut bacteria that is making you crave sugar so much that you can't stop eating it. And once that happens, you'll be able to enjoy your desserts or your chocolate bar and just have what you need, and that's be done with it. And that's what you want. That's what a healthy relationship with food is when you can stop, when you have full control and you're not depriving yourself. You're able to say, you know what, I've had enough, I'm full. I've really enjoyed it, but I've had enough, I'm full. When you can say that, you've got it. Like, you've got it then. Just one final thing. I know I said about the cereal bars or diet foods, being aware that they aren't always as healthy as they are made out to be. But one thing you need to know is that sugar isn't always called sugar. A lot of the time, like, sugar has over 50 names, and over 50 names. If you're not going to be able to know all these names, but just to be aware that sometimes you might read something and be like, well, this doesn't have sugar in the ingredients anywhere, when it actually does have sugar 3 times. It's just not called sugar. That's those kind of foods. It's not that the manufacturers are hiding the sugar from you per se. They've still told you it's there. It's just that they haven't used its actual common known name. That's just something to be aware of as well. And once you know what you're eating, you can make an informed decision about whether you really want to eat it or not. And that's important, because this is all about taking back control of our gut. So I hope you liked this video, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. And I hope you learned something about it, and it helps you increase your good gut bacteria. And if you're having problems with sugar cravings, it might help with that as well. So let me know if it does, and bye.